All right. Good morning, Marcie. It is Monday morning in sunny. It's sunny there, right? It's got to be sunny.
It is sunny today. First day in a few days. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sunny, Louisiana. We've got, a blending of cultures happening today on the RIA live Facebook channel. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Anthony. How are you so early this
It
morning?
is dark in my neck of the woods right now. It's pretty damn early, Marcie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I haven't
What's
had
the
any
temperature over
caffeine.
there though today?
You know what? It is high 50s at my house this morning.
What?
It's a little chilly.
It was
I
a
might
balmy
have to put on a
35
hoodie.
here. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I might have to put on a hoodie. Just right.
I'm more surprised you would have a hoodie in Hawaii.
I own an extensive collection of hoodies.
Actually, doesn't surprise
I
me.
just own no sport coats. That's my rule. I'm a zero sport coats in my closet kind of guy.
Well, I get it. That's fitting. Fitting.
Yeah. Well, we all have things we want to accomplish in life. Not being a poser is mine. So
You're winning at that then. Hashtag winning.
thank God. All right. So you have a completely different background than most folks that are on the RAA board. So why don't you tell us like the origin story, right? As I always joke, none of us were sitting in a sandbox at 9 years old going, yay, I want to clean up poop out of buildings. We all end up here through some strange set of circumstances. Tell us yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you know, my background is in HR, and that's where I've been. And I did HR forever. It's been 20 plus years now. But about 6 years ago, I was looking for another job, another route, and I answered a job posting for Guarantee Restoration Services. And I had the interview like less than a week. I got a call 45 minutes after my interview from Sean Folks saying, hey, Marcie, we want you on our team. And 6 years ago, that's where I've been. So it's been a great, great ride here.
Can you tell us exactly the words that were used in the job post? Because I think all of us would love to be able to attract Marcie Richardson level talent to our organizations.
HR manager needed.
Yeah, we're super effing desperate. Can you help?
That's it. I was like, okay, I got it. And it was 5 minutes from the house. So, but I'll tell you, that same time, I did have another offer at an insurance company because I do have a background in insurance, my insurance licenses. And so I had two offers, right? And it was working white collar at an insurance company or Guarantee Restoration. And, the culture and Guarantee and who and what they do here. And it just spoke to me. I was like, that's my team. There's something that's drawing me and calling me to Guarantee. And, there hasn't been a day that I have regretted that decision at all.
Good. And you'd have to be living under a freaking rock to not know who Guarantee is at this point, because you guys are like, is there an association or an event that you don't attend?
If there is one, I don't know it yet.
And that's the reason that you're not there.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about Guarantee. I know you guys opened was it a Mobile, Alabama location, if I remember
We
correctly?
did. Yeah. Back in August, we opened our 6th location in Mobile, Alabama. But actually this year makes our 50th anniversary for Guarantee Restoration.
Awesome.
50 years we've been doing this. Sean's parents, Ellen and Chunky Folks, started the business doing carpet cleaning like a lot of restoration companies start off with. And it has just grown into what you see and know today. So, we're at 153 employees with the 6 locations. It's a fun ride, right? We've never laid anybody off. And I think that's something else that we can speak to our 50 years of not one layoff. And we've always been busy and always provided for our employees. So it's been really good reputation where we are.
So why property restoration for Marcie Richardson? Seems like an odd choice. And I'll just speak you're relatively polished for a restoration person. You have just a different pedigree about you. And I think that's one of the things that I find I'm always like, how did Marcie end up here? So now that, Sean wrote like the world's best job posting and lured in a Marcie Richardson under false pretenses, why do you stay?
Anthony, you speak too good of me. I'm from South Louisiana, right? We're not polished down here. So this is all a facade. Like I can get dirty, wrestle alligators. Like I'm good. This is not it. But no, this speaks to me. Restoration, in everything that we want in life, we want to have some value. What we do, we want to have meaning, right? And I think just like everybody else, that's what spoke to me is that it's not, I'm not just doing a standard HR thing, or it's not a different industry, right? It's actually helping the employees who are going out and, I mean, Lord knows, like you said, they're shoveling crap at 3 a.m. Who wants to do that, right? Well, it's me making sure I'm pouring back into the employees so they can smile when they're shoveling crap and they're doing it for the good intentions. And so I think restoration as a whole is just, it makes me feel good, right? Yeah. And I mean, being in South Louisiana too, the hurricanes, I mean, I've lived through Katrina, I've lived through all of them, and I've seen other friends and family having to deal with so much stuff. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know this existed until I came here, right? As you call your insurance company, they send somebody out. But when you're here and the behind the scenes and what people do, it's like, wow, this is bigger than I knew. And, just again, guarantee it's what I wanted to be a part of. So.
Yeah. And what were you doing before? Like what industry did you come from?
So actually before I did HVAC, new construction and service. Okay. So I did that. And then previously before that, it was marine cargo surveying. So it was oil and gas industry. Okay. So I did a lot of things on that front.
So you're no stranger to like dirty knuckleheads producing work in the field. This is your bread and butter. Okay.
I love this type of work. I love that I can go and shoot the crap with anybody and have a good time, and we can joke and banter. I mean, this is where I thrive.
So tell me why though. Like let me go a layer deeper. Like why does that resonate with you? And I'll just share with you, I'm asking from a sincere place. One of the wanderings and musings that's been running around this tin can of a head that I have is like why we are motivated. I think the restoration industry is a place where you can't pay people enough money. They have to have an innate sense of why to stick around, because otherwise it's just too damn hard. Like you kind of sound crazy for wanting to do it without having a keen sense of why. So what's yours?
It's funny because before we got on the call, it's like, I didn't wake up thinking, ooh, I want to do HR when I grow up, right? Like that's not in any little kid's like thought. It's not
a sandbox item.
Yeah. No, it's not there. And so the more you get into it and the more that genuine love of person, right? I just love people. And I think that everybody has potential that they don't see in themselves, and something that it's drawn to me, like, how can I bring that out of people? And so here specifically, it is, and I'm going to say cliche or something that we always say, but in restoration, we're experiencing the person potentially at their worst time, right? Like they may have never had anything going through. So how can I reach out to them? Right. I think it's the heart that we all carry with ourselves. It is humbling of ourselves. I think that I haven't met anybody in the restoration industry that is just full of themselves, right? They always put themselves last. And that's how I look at it. That's just how my values and what motivates me is how can I reach out to them and lift people up. I think that's probably the best way. Is my why is I just want to lift people up and get them thinking bigger and more of themselves and digging deep of what they don't even see. So Guarantee has that culture. Restoration, you're seeing that I see the result of what's out in the field in the employees, if that makes sense, what they're seeing, and I'm seeing it, how it's touching people. And so it's just kind of a cycle of, hey, you know what? I need to keep pouring into the people because they're going to keep pouring into the customer. And it's just a continuation fold of that. But that's my why, is just continuing to grow people and then seeing the results of the growth and investment that we're putting into people coming back in the business.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that I'm pontificating a little bit here, but I think we need to do a better job of coaching our employees and helping them discover their sense of why. I think if we can accomplish that, like we create, like you want to know how to solve retention, like that's kind of it in my book. Like help everybody understand their sense of why, and then they're like, holy crap, this is exactly why I'm never leaving, right?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, the resources that I've had in my career so far have helped me figure out my why. I have, my kids are 23 and 20. They're still figuring out that why. But the things that I've learned, I can pass on to them now and help them figure that out, right? I think there's a lot of people that they're floating in life and thinking, okay, I just got to go do the same old thing, the same thing that my parents did. And they're not really discovering themselves and discovering their why. And I think that, as you talk about, as solving retention, as we move generations and the shifting of where we are as in a workforce, is helping our employees discover their why and their value, they're gonna stay. Right? They want to feel that value. They want to feel that investment poured back into them. And that's the one way that, we can do that, is helping, hey, let's just have those conversations. And I think we've gotten so far, or the thought has always been, work is work and personal is personal. And you can't cross that line, but you can talk about that. You can talk, hey, what wakes you up? What excites you? What gets you going? And then also turning that over of, you can have a great career in restoration with your why and what wakes you up and what motivates you every day. And we have to do a better job of communicating that, which, is only going to make restoration stronger.
Yeah, I agree. I always tell people, I'm like, if you don't know your why, you can borrow mine. I know mine.
But that's for you, right? Like Anthony Nelson was here for his why and everything else. So I want to know what's their why out there, because there's a spot for them in everybody's why.
I agree. So you got a day. You get the opportunity to do this in your new role. There's probably not a lot of areas you don't get to touch, but what's your favorite part of the business?
Oh, my favorite part of the business.
Like, you can go spend a day with any team at Guarantee right now. Who are you going to go spend the day with?
Actually, so we have a claims department.
Yeah.
I actually like spending time with our claims department. They handle all of our vendor programs, the updating and all that stuff. And the amount of claims that they deal with, it's a lot. Right? Yeah. It's a lot that's coming in. They're getting stuff on one end. And the way that they handle and the processes and the problem solving that they can do, they're the unsung heroes to me at Guarantee Restoration, is our claims department. And we have a group of 5 people that are in that department, and they handle so much. And that's one area I don't think anybody thinks about. Not every company has a claims that handle that. And, but for me, it's really what they give and what they do, and to continue having those good relationships with our vendor programs is really, I think, not praised enough.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you want to talk about a group of people who intrinsically knows your business probably better than any other group of people within your business. Like, you want to evaluate whether or not a sales initiative is working and driving the correct amount of work. Go talk to your claims department.
Absolutely.
They know the throughput of everything. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What do you see as the greatest challenge restorers are going to face in the next 5 years?
I definitely think it's creating the value and communicating, like we already talked about. We are in this generational shift, right? Where we have the baby boomers are going to be the largest group that's going to come out, but their work ethic and how they thought is different. And
Yeah.
so communicating the baby boomer work ethic to your Gen Zers and having that line up so those Gen Zers are staying and wanting to continue to and finding a career here, I think is going to be the biggest hurdle, because baby boomers and Gen Zers Gen Zers, they don't think the same. You know, they're not on that same wavelength. They don't have that same why that's motivating and pulling them. And I think that is going to be a harder thing. Because with one thing that we've all said, what COVID has taught us is that there's so many other opportunities and jobs out there that were created that didn't exist then. So how can we get people in the service industry? How can we get it appealing to them?
Mm-hmm.
I really think is going to be our biggest thing. And, one of the things that I love to do is share how to create culture. How do you create the why in other people? But what are small things you can do to bridge that gap between the generations?
All right. So softball pitch to Anthony Nelson. I'm going to swing for the fences. What do you guys have ping pong tables at Guarantee? Like, what are you doing to try and, create a place for, the upcoming generation that feels good?
We do have a ping pong table. It is there. We do. I
had one too.
But I think it's also creating those moments. And I've said this several times in different things, is that you understand the person that's doing the job is a person. They're an employee that's doing the job, but they're still a person. And you have to invest, even if it's 30 seconds of your time, to them, of checking in, right? And it's being sincere. The one question that everybody says in every day is, hey, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. Do you really mean or want to know how is that person doing? Or is that just the drive-by thing that we're going to say every day because that's what we're used to? So if you're going to say, hey, how are you doing? Stop, listen, because sometimes that person just needs that 30 seconds, 60 seconds to get something off their chest, to vent, or just to say, you know what, I had a great weekend and I want to share it with somebody. And the thing that has really been coming in my head these days or recently is that we've created slang and different little short phrases, and TikTok and social media has accelerated this, but words still have meaning, right? When you're saying, hey, how's your day? That's still something that people are going to respond to. It's not just, hey, how's your day, and drive by. You got to actually, how's your day? They want to answer. People want to talk. And so I think that's the simplest way of creating culture, is stopping and being sincere and being vulnerable, of saying, you know what, well, that's good. I had a great weekend too. And the word vulnerability doesn't mean you're got to pour your heart out. It just means opening your heart. Right. Yeah. And so I think that's the small, simplest, cost-effective way to create culture, and that those returns you'll never see immediately, but you start trending and your retention is starting to grow, right? And callbacks are dropping, or people calling out. Those things are going to start trending once you start making those same or small little changes.
It was, I want to say it was when my grandparents had a German foreign exchange student. I think it was, but so I was in high school at the time, and her and I were talking, and she's like, you know what, one of the hard things for me, like, she spoke great English, right? But she's like, when people ask me how my day is in Germany, like, if somebody actually asks you that question, it's because they care and they genuinely want to know how your day is going. Like, they won't ask if they don't want to know. Whereas it's like, hey, how you doing? Right. It's a little less formal in the US. And so when she told me that, I was like, it's always stuck in the back of my mind whenever somebody asks me how my day's going. Like, I pause and I answer sincerely, as opposed to, no, I'm good, man. Yeah. Like, what about the game last night? No, just like, I'm going to answer that question sincerely, because I think that, like, you're right. We need more of that in this world.
Yeah. Sure. It comes down to simple respect of a person. And I think that's where that all falls into.
So What's one thing you just can't stop thinking about relative to our industry? Like it gets your curiosity, or you're like, how is this a problem? How have we not solved it? Like whatever it is, what can you just not stop thinking about?
To be honest, and everybody has this issue, communication.
Yeah.
Like, how is that still on everybody's like, oh, we have a communication problem. We have a communication problem. And I know it starts granular, but you hear it all the time. And it is one thing that, I'm trying to implement that we can stop because we have it. You hear different departments, that's a communication issue. And you hear about that and I'm sure in your role of, we just have communication issues, and it just blows my head. We all are aware of it, but nobody does anything about it, or the systems just fall into place. You put something in and it's still there. I think that I know that's not restoration, that's business wide, but it's one of those things that's been on my list of how can we correct this, and do better as a whole, and stuff. But specifically, restoration, I think we all have our little hiccups of how can we do better and improve on to grow. The other thing that pops in my head is the friction always between production and business development. Right?
Oh,
How
yeah.
can we improve that and things like that, and things that we're working on in here is creating that collaboration. I started a program here that we have our higher level managers meet once a month, and it's business development and production people together, and they talk about their stuff. They talk openly of like, hey, this is where I get frustrated when you do this, and vice versa. And it's opening eyes to like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Right. And kind of doing that way. And, the thing that I've identified is that if Guarantee wants to grow, we have to bridge that gap, because it's a symbiotic relationship. Production needs business development needs production. So we got to close that. And that, again, with communication, I think probably it's another form of that. How do you do that and make that grow? But that's still, I hear that all the time. There's always friction. And in no matter what industry that's there. So
I can't, who said it? Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. We had a rule, if like production guys, right? It's 9 o'clock at night. They've got 4 or 5 more hours on the job. So what do? You do the right thing. You feed them, right? If somebody's working, busting their tail off, you feed them. And so we had a rule that we created at Premier where you could not buy that dinner if you were the production manager. You had to call whoever was in charge of that project from the business development side, and that was their responsibility to go get the pizzas or the plate lunches or whatever and bring it down, just to show like, hey, I actually care about this job. I care about the people that are producing the work. And when you get a member of your biz dev team that shows up on a job site at 9 p.m. with some pizza, like you're going to create some goodwill, and there's going to be some great conversation that happens as a result of it. And that was kind of like, did it fix the problem for us? No, but it made it better. You just got to make it better.
Yeah. We had a job come in this weekend, a pretty large fire job. And we dispatched it to our team in Jackson. They still had to go out and sign the job up, right? It came from our business development rep. And when she said, hey, it's signed, I got the work authorization signed, we're going, here's the plan. The business development rep that sent that lead in, he replied, hell yeah, Brandy, awesome. And that kind of stuff was just, it's so simple, and it took 10 seconds of his time, but that goes far, right? And so I thank people when I see that, when you're going and appreciating what somebody's done, hey, you know what? I see it, and high five to that. So.
Yeah. Why did you join the RAA board of directors?
So, when it's been 2 years now, Debbie Bogard had sent me an email and called me. And she was saying, Marcie, I think you would do great. They, just all, and sold me. And I said, all right, Debbie, I'll do the application. And that's been that ever since. Debbie is a woman in restoration that I look up to and I've looked up to for many years. And it was an honor for her just to call and to consider me, right? And to say, hey, I think you would do well. But for me, the bigger picture of joining the board is how can I make a difference, right?
Yeah.
In an industry that I have grown to love very, very quickly, how can I continue to grow and to be an influence for the positive into this vast industry of restorers that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my motivating thing when I, doing the interview and when I found out I was voted, it was a very, very humbling moment in my life, because think of how many people took the time to listen to my interview and then took the time to vote for me.
Mm-hmm.
That, I own that, right? I take
Mm-hmm.
very deep ownership and responsibility of my heart that somebody did that. And so that's a thing for me, is that I just want to continue to create value for them.
There's this concept I've been playing with in the back of my mind, and I think you'll appreciate it. I call it the Bogar effect, because I think I've gotten that phone call from Debbie about other things.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Did she call you before about anything? Like, had she asked you anything about anything before that moment? Was she like, you should do this with your life?
No.
Okay.
So we've talked about other things, but not like this. No.
Yeah. But Debbie's always present. She's she's the current she's one of many currents in our industry. I just can't, and grossly understated.
Love you, Deb.
But it's the fact that she, Debbie wields this power and influence, but uses it very surgically. And there's an eloquence about how she does it that, I want to be better at that. I'm like, Debbie, can you teach me how to be better about this? But yeah, it's just this Bogart.
She has her little ninja, little calculated method.
Yeah. She's got an algorithm that's this is the time and place for Marcie. The line inverted. The yield curve of Marcie Richardson has finally achieved inversion, and this needs to happen.
She definitely has a spreadsheet like that. There's an algorithm with a spreadsheet of people she has it on there. I know she does. Mm-hmm.
I just wonder where I'm at on that spreadsheet, man. All right. So what do you you're on the you're chair of the education committee, right?
I am.
Okay. So you're chair of the education committee. I that seems to be the area of focus within the RIA that has your attention. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing within the education committee to make the world of restoration better for all of us?
So, in the RIA, they have their designations. You have WLS, ERS, FLS. No, ERS, FLS. What is the content? CLS.
Yeah.
No, I was forgetting. And those are advanced designations that we offer and we want to push out. But one of the other things that we're missing is that of other resources, right? There's so much knowledge. The people in the education committee, I mean, the years that they have, what they have developed, there's a lot of instructors and content developers for all of our designations. And it's an astounding group of people. So how can we take what they have and offer it to RIA members, right? And so right now we're in the process of developing a video series of different topics that we're going to release and have some ready for convention.
Nice.
But to put out there and start having a library, right, of what is a little more than just the designations, right? How can we talk about this and different topics? So that's what we're working on, and just pushing out and creating a bigger library of videos that they can have, and working to having those videos of doing CE credits. So for different things that we all have. Yeah. So those are some of our big things that we're working on right now.
Awesome. And then, I know the ever-present focus on the career path, right? How do we take somebody from entry level through to WLS or CR ultimately, right? Yeah. And I love the work that you're doing there. We've talked about it. You know where I stand. That warms my freaking heart. So
I mean, it goes back to what we're saying is showing the value in restoration to somebody that is a high school student, right? They're just graduating. How can you really having a good career in restoration? It's there. All the tools and what that pathway looks like, you know, let's go. And I want to show people that's accessible. It's not unattainable. You know, some people look at colleges and that's just too much for them. And I get that. But here, how can to me, the RA, we're talking about expanding and talking about some of the things of retention, bridging that gap, right? I think education is key, right? If you're giving people the tools, you're arming them exactly with the knowledge they need, they're going to stay, they're going to see the value, they're going to fall in love with the restoration industry. And I think that's part of, you know, bridging the generations together and continuing what some of the things that may trouble us. Sorry. Tongue-tied.
No worries. Mentors or sources of inspiration for Marcie Richardson. Like, who's inspired you to become the individual you are today?
Oh, that list is long. You know, I definitely look at my parents. You know, my mom and dad individually have amazing qualities, and just on how they treat people and how they show up in life has definitely been an inspiration for me. You know, and this is a touchy subject. I'm getting like just a little choked up when I think about that.
Oh, good.
Because I know where I have been and where my path has led me and where I've grown and I've learned. And I have a coach that I talk to monthly that I couldn't be where I am today if it wasn't with her. But I even look at my kids and my kids now being young adults of how are they teaching me? Right. And we talk about, I think that's another thing that isn't talked about too often. You know, us older adults, like say that without giving my age, how can we connect to younger generations? And I think we have to really open ourselves that we can learn a lot from younger adults and wanting to do that. And my kids do that to me on a daily basis of just helping me not be the old fuddy-duddy that I am. And, but you know, there's plenty, and there's probably a lot of smaller people who have influenced me more than they'll ever know in my time. So,
yeah, I love the reflection on your children and the influence that they have in your life. I'm at a different stage, right? Yours are 20 and 23. Mine are 6 and 3. So the influence they have on me is a little more, I will say, grassroots at the moment. It's like, oh, that's why we have to treat people well. We don't hit them with toy trucks, right? So there's a little more of that for me. But yeah, you know, and I always found that in hiring employees, like those that have children, kind of know how to manage chaos way better than those that don't.
Oh yeah. It's not that far between. It's not that far between.
So got $100,000. You like, you know, I don't know. You decide, you know, you reach this apex at your career with guarantee, and you're like, okay, yep, it's all good. I'm going to step away. And you got this nag in the back of your brain that like, you just can't leave the industry. So you make the decision, you're going to start over. You're going to build a company from scratch, and you got $100,000 worth of capital. How do you deploy the capital?
You know, and this is the first thing that pops in my head is, I think there's a theme of what we're talking about, is that I would start a training and development company, right? Like I want to give back. How can I offer independent restorers? How can I offer employees who are wanting to grow and give them the resources and just open training and development? Here is what you need, and here how you can cultivate that within yourself. How can you excel at this? I think I would definitely take that $100,000 and turn it around so I can help other companies and other individuals within restoration. Nice.
And so would it be technical training, or where, like, I'm gonna force you to bifurcate and at least choose a side of a coin here.
Technical or
not technical.
soft skills.
Yeah, call it everything else.
I think that you can't differentiate between the two. I think for somebody to be successful in restoration, you have to have solid soft skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to know customer service. You have to be a lover of people, right? And you have to know the product, know the industry to do that. So I think there's a balance of where we of what to teach. You can't have one without the other. You wouldn't survive in restoration if you were skill heavy and you were just crappy on the soft skills, and you would not survive if you had great soft skills but didn't have the job knowledge. So I don't know if I could separate. It would definitely be both.
Okay, that's a fair answer. I'll let you have it.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice you'd give any restorer in the first year or two of business? AKA, where were the challenges you identified when you first came in from the outside?
Ooh. Here, there was a lot of listening that wasn't there, right? You wanted to listen to the person, and that comes back to work is people's people, and having to actually teach, hey, you know what, we're in a different workforce in a different time. And so I keep saying that, I'm going to stop saying bridging the gap, but teaching to listen to the employee. So we have a better, bigger culture. And that was, I think, the first, or probably the best advice that I would give is just to listen. You want to have a better team. And I think anybody in their first year, you're trying to get that business, right? You're trying to get your revenue in, but the best way to do that is loving on an employee, right? Of creating a culture, because that person's going to be your biggest seller. That person's going to be your biggest advocate. So you really want to make sure it's like, you know what, I hear, and there's going to be a lot of chaos on anybody starting off. Make sure you invest in time in your people, and your biggest asset right now.
Yeah. So if somebody says, look, I hear you, Marcie, how do I invest in my people? You're telling me to listen, but what's the box I can check, right? Like, help me build a system around this, so then that way, when all hell breaks loose and we're all running around with our pants on fire, how do I make sure that communication's at the forefront?
You're checking in, right? I think that however you structure your day, the first thing I think you do is, it goes back to, hey, how's your day? Right. And then when all hell breaks loose and you're busy and you're running, it's, hey, do you have the resources? Are you here? What do you need from me? Right. And I think that's the thing that we get kind of muddled, is we feel like we have to direct. If you train your employees, they know what to do. Just ask them, hey, what else do you need from me? You be a resource, right? And you continue to do that and ask them, and they're going to tell you very quickly if you've kept that communication open. So, I know that's an easy thing. There's not like, I can't give you a list of stuff and kind of roll out, but the easier thing is to listen, I think, and to ask the question, what else do you need? What else do you need? What are you missing from me?
You need like an acronym, like the Marcie Richardson Plan for Employee Engagement, and you could patent it, and I'll help you sell it.
All right, good.
That was way too easy, Marcie. I know you're full of crap.
I mean, okay. All right, we'll work on that.
We'll work on it. Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and just hopping online and running through some silly questions and some sincere questions with me. I appreciate it. Is there anything that you'd like to share about yourself or your company before we close this down?
For me and Guarantee Restoration, like it's my heart, right? It's a place and here of where we are. And I think the opportunity for being here, the opportunity to be in a part of this industry. And it is, again, it's a phenomenal feeling. It's the best. I've found my home here. So,
and we never, ever, ever want you to leave. So please stay. All right.
I'm not going.
Good. Good. Well, thank you, Marcie. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope it warms up a little bit in Louisiana for you.
Yeah, me too. 30. We're not made for 38 degrees.
No. Hopefully it gets warmer. All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks, Anthony.
Bye.